When you spend 2 decades wearing a motorcycle club patch, serving in leadership, and half a century raised in the life, among some of the largest organizations on record, there are several life lessons to be learned. This is one of those lessons. If you have been in the club life long enough to be in a national leadership position, then I have some news for you, and you most likely already know this. Somewhere in your club, someone else wants your job. You see, a lot of MC club members have tremendous egos. They think that the leadership position is a trophy and not a position of service. Sadly, there are multiple examples where this has become evident. Somewhere in your organization there is a pack of wolves right at your heels, and in many cases they're waiting for a sign of any weakness to pounce on you. Unfortunately, this is one of the first lessons that I learned once I was in a patch. At the time, we shared our clubhouse with our Diamond sister club. So essentially there were 2 clubs operating out of the same clubhouse. I wasn't anybody at that time. In fact, I think I may have even still been a prospective new member earning my patch. So I did the right thing during that time, and that was keep my mouth shut and my eyes and ears open. In the Diamond Club there was a chapter president, and he honestly treated me very well. He was one of those brothers who was a teacher more than he was a disciplinarian. But don't think I didn't get picked on, because we all get picked on in the beginning. Well, when I made my way to the clubhouse, I was told the big guy had a heart attack at work, and he was down pretty hard. The club life isn't all conducive to a healthy lifestyle, as you can well imagine. Of course, there was a lot of chitter-chatter going on in the clubhouse, because with the boss down, the number 2 has to step up and lead the crew. And that's a big task depending on the size of the club, and this happens to be one of the world's largest. As the weeks progressed and it became clear that the boss was going to be down for quite a while, the only good news was that he didn't die and he was expected to make a pretty full recovery. When you're a prospective new member, you find out that you're around a lot of stuff a lot of the time when others may not be, because you're on missions or you're expected to be around when not everyone else is, and in doing so, you overhear a lot of things. I'd like to say that's by design to see if you're trustworthy, but I assure you, some of the things that you may hear as a prospective new member, you'd probably rather not. Some of the things that I overheard were pretty disheartening. I can only describe it as either a positioning or a clamoring to push the boss out so that somebody else could have his job. This was probably 5 or 6 months me being a prospective new member, and I'll tell you what, it's the first time I saw a chink in what I thought was the armor of brotherhood. But I can tell you this, it certainly wasn't the last time. That's the sort of a full exposure that needs to come to everybody who's in the club life at some point or another, because if not, then they're naive and they'll be well taken advantage of. So I guess I'm lucky that it happened early, and anyone with any time in a patch should already know. They may dress like you, but they ain't all your friend or brother. I probably should have listened to the old man Lightning, because he tried to tell me this and I didn't hear it because I didn't understand it. I was naive, as many new prospective members are, thinking, this is it, this is family, these guys love me, they'll protect me, they'll die for me. And then you realize it's just like every other family. Dysfunctional as fuck. I used to tell people your club is only as smart as its dumbest member, and there ain't no IQ test to get in. And you probably ought to know better when the makeup is derived from society's rejects, thieves, narcissists, and schoolyard bullies. Well, I didn't know that at the time, but that was the last time I ever saw the big guy. He never returned to the club after he got better. And just like clockwork, his successor succeeded in his endeavor to take his job. I've seen this with other clubs, and I'm talking the biggest clubs in the world at the very top of their leadership in more than one occasion. Like I said before, there's always somebody at your heels wanting your job, and he's generally got himself a pack willing to stab you in the back because they think they're gaining favor with that new boss. And the truth is, you're so damn busy you don't always have time to look over your shoulder at your own brothers. One would think you wouldn't have to, but I can tell you this, there have been more motorcycle club leaders taken down by their own members than there has anyone else, including law enforcement, which is hard to believe. The truth is, if you're at the top of your game and you're in a leadership position, there is Stopwatch running against you right now. and you will only be at the top for so long. That's probably a good thing in the end, because one of the clubs that I was in, the national president was such an egomaniac, he tried to convince people to make him the forever boss, as he pillaged the club in every way, shape, and form that he possibly could. But like all the rest, he got taken down by a younger, bigger bully, and he wasn't very happy about it. There was a reason that I was a damn good boss and leader. It wasn't just because I had an entire lifetime to learn the good, the bad, and the ugly. I was good at it because I was truly about the membership and the brotherhood, and I saw it as a position of servitude, not as royalty. I never took a dime from my club, and in fact, had more than one time loaned money out to accomplish a goal. There were some hard-working, good brothers in that club prior to me, and with me, but I can tell you this, there is no one who opened more chapters in the clubs that I served or brought in more members than I did. And that's not bragging, that's just a fact. I lived it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and nobody can deny it. But what do you suppose they did in the end when I stopped serving their need and I left while I was at the top of my game? You can probably guess. Deflection, lies, because it exposed the racket going on in other areas of leadership in the club. But in the end, most of my so-called brothers chose not to stand up for us against what they knew were lies, because they coveted that patch more than in our friendship. We used to have a patch that we would wear on our vest that said TN1, and its meaning was never truer, trust no one. I was extremely, and I mean extremely careful who I exposed myself to in my inner circle the entire time I was in the clubs, because the biggest danger to you when you are in a nefarious position isn't an undercover law enforcement officer. It's the brother that got pinched and didn't tell you about it. Somebody you've known for years and you've been partying with and taking care of business with, he got pinched and he didn't tell you. He's cut himself a deal to throw you under the bus. That's the most dangerous guy in your organization, because you never suspect it and you never see it coming. And every one of your organizations has a few of them guys right now. When you have to worry more about the guy standing beside you wearing your patch than the guy you're facing defending him against, then it just ain't real anymore. I tell people, I didn't quit the life quit me, because it doesn't exist the way it used to. There is no honor among thieves. But if you're in a leadership position and you've been there a while, then you already know this. I remember one time we were sitting in the National Officers meeting in Detroit, and a brother who I brought up the club life actually gave him his road name and patched him, and he had come a long way, and he was a national leader as well. And he looked around the room there. There had to be, I don't know, I'll say several hundred brothers in there for a national meeting. He asked me, how many of these guys do you think are snitching to save their own ass? I just looked at him and said, every fucking one of them as far as I'm concerned, including you. But what the hell do I know? I'm just Tabasco the biker. Keep it real.
They got big egos, it's plain to see. I didn't leave the life left me. There ain't no honor in the life no more. They say they love you, but like a fitting kind of whore. There ain't no honor in the life no more. They playing games and we about to war. Keep your head on a swivel and watch your back, or you can fuck around with us and find out, Jack.